Hi, this is Nehemiah Persoff. You're listening to TV Confidential.
I knew these people. They were in love with each other.
Ed Robertson with a reminder that the next edition of TV Confidential will premiere next week on this station at the usual time. Please join us as we welcome back award-winning writer, producer, director, author, and now podcast host Joseph Wallenstein. In the meantime, on the line with us right now, this is Joseph B. Atkins. Joe is the author of Harry Dean Stanton, Hollywood's Zen Rebel, a deep dive into the life of the times of the Old West cadaver-faced character actor who became a leading man in the 1980s, most notably with Paris, Texas, and Repo Man. Joe's book includes interviews with such Harry Dean Stanton contemporaries as Nehemiah Persoff, L.Q. Jones, Dabney Coleman, Ed Faulkner, director Monte Hellman, and Dennis Quaid, as well as many members of Harry Dean Stanton's family. Harry Dean Stanton, Hollywood Zen Rebel, available wherever books are sold through University Press of Kentucky and Amazon.com. Before we went to break, Joe and I were talking about how Harry Dean Stanton first came to Hollywood in the early 1960s, around the same time as other noted character actors of his era, such as Jack Nicholson and Warren Oates, and how there was some frustration on Harry Dean's part when some of his contemporaries, such as Jack Nicholson and Warren Oates, started to get leading roles in movies while Harry Dean Stanton did not. And if I remember correctly, one of the other figures that was beginning to come into his own as a filmmaker, who was also part of that, maybe not part of the immediate circle of Jack Nicholson, but he was someone that Nicholson knew and that knew Nicholson, that would be the director Monte Hellman. He was
Absolutely. I was very fortunate as I was doing our research. I was told, Lucy Jones told me this, who founded the Harry Dean Film Festival. She says, Monte Hellman has an Airbnb in Hollywood. I said, you're kidding me. And she said, okay, well, I found Monte Hellman's Airbnb online and booked a room, And so right there in Laurel Canyon, he was one of the last sort of holdovers for the old Laurel Canyon, and I stayed a couple nights there and got to know Hellman and interviewed him at some length. He was, I think, in failing health somewhat, but he did grant me a good lengthy interview, and he talked about Harry Dean quite at length. He said that when you go to his house, which was connected to the Airbnb, you see photographs of Jack Nicholson sort of everywhere, well, not everywhere, but several photographs, framed photographs, and you could tell that, Jack Nicholson owed a lot to Monte Hellman for helping get his career started. But anyway, Harry Dean was in several Monte Hellman movies, Cockfighter with Warren Oates, and then Ride the Whirlwind with Jack Nicholson, and I think a couple others. But he never got the lead role, and he asked Hellman about that one time, and Hellman said, sorry, Harry, I just don't see you in the lead. I see you where I see you, and I got to cast it like I see it, And so, there were some frustrations there.
But good things come to those who wait. Fast forward 15 years later, he gets an opportunity to be the lead, beginning with Repo Man, although I understand that he and the director, Alex Cox, did not always see eye to eye during production of that movie. Yeah,
that's Alex Cox is a really interesting guy. I got to interview him as well, and got to meet him at the in person at the film festival. I guess maybe a couple of years ago. He said that here was the situation. Harry Dean had already, when Repo Man came along. Alex was working with Michael Nesmith, who got interested in the script and was trying to get some financing for it. And I think Cox first looked at Dennis Hopper for the role, but Dennis Hopper was going to ask for too much money. And then he started thinking about Harry Dean, and he said that, this is a quote from Alex Cox, he loved Harry Dean's Old West cadaver face. So they got Harry Dean on board, but here's the situation. Harry Dean is 57 years old at this time. Alex Cox is 29, just out of film school at UCLA. He's making his first feature film. He's gotten the interest of some big names like Michael Nesmith, the former Monkey, who's now a major producer, founder of MTV, and other credits to his on his resume. And so he's going to get the lead role, but he's going to have to share it with Emilio Estevez, who's 21 years old. And so he finally gets his lead, but he can't claim it solely. And so maybe Harry Dean kind of has an attitude, certainly early on in the filming. They disagree on a number of things. Harry Dean makes some suggestions for the script, and Alex rejects those. At one point, there's a fight scene in which Harry Dean is supposed to be wielding a baseball bat. Harry Dean insists on wielding a real baseball bat. Alex Cox says, hey, somebody could get hurt. We're not going to do that. We're going to use a plastic bat. Harry Dean says, Harry Dean Stanton only uses real bats. Finally, they convinced Harry Dean to give up, the real bat and use a plastic bat. But and then so this friction kind of continues, but somehow maybe that adds to level of tension that works in favor of the film. The film is it's become a cult classic. It might have just been forgotten about had it not been for the soundtrack, because Universal, they finally got the money to put together the film and put it out there, but then quickly just sort of pulled it, and it was just sort of bound for obscurity at that point. But they made an album from the soundtrack, which is like sort of a punk rock album, Iggy Pop and others, and the album really took off and sold a lot of copies. And one of the producers says, "Hey, look, is there a movie that goes along with this album?" And so they finally resurrect Repo Man, and it begins to sell out at theaters in the Northwest, and becomes the classic that it is today.
On the line with us is Joseph B. Atkins. Joe is the author of Harry Dean Stanton, Hollywood Zen Rebel. Joe will be back next week for part 2 of our conversation. We'll talk some more about the making of Repo Man. We'll also go behind the scenes of Paris, Texas, Harry Dean Stanton's other best-known film role. Plus, we'll talk about some of Stanton's notable work in television. All that and more. Part 2 of our conversation with Joseph Atkins next week on TV Confidential. In the meantime, Harry Dean Stanton, Hollywood Zen Rebel, available wherever books are sold, University Press of Kentucky, as well as Amazon.com. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back. One more item. If you're starting a company, particularly one that is in an emerging market, you know that averting any sort of legal dispute is crucial to your business plan. Our friends at Tectonic Law offer an array of services that can help you avoid and preempt future litigation while also developing and protecting your intellectual property and intangible assets. Tectonic Law serves the needs of a host of emerging industries throughout California and beyond, including industrial designers, beverage makers, artists, farmers, retail stores, health practitioners, wellness experts, cosmetics manufacturers, nonprofit organizations, innovators in sustainable practices, and libraries. Go to tectoniclaw.com to learn more about how Tectonic Law can help your business thrive. tectoniclaw.com. Rock solid representation for groundbreaking industries.
This portion of TV Confidential is brought to us by our friends at Front Porch Realty, the community of realtors in the Northern Bay area of California that is committed to finding the solution that is best for their clients. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or looking to sell or lease your property in Northern California, call Karen Strain at 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com for more information on how they can help you.
A reminder that Comfort and Joy by Joseph Doherty is available wherever books are sold through Tucker DS Press, tuckerdspress.com, as well as Amazon.com, while Joy Lansing, A Body to Die For by Alexis Hunter, available Bear Manor Media as well as Amazon.com. And Harry Dean Stanton, Hollywood's Zen Revel by Joseph Atkins, available University Press of Kentucky as well as Amazon.com. Ed Robertson, Baptist Tony Figueroa, and Donna Allen, Phil Grace, and Susan Silver, thank you so much for listening. Stay healthy, stay safe. We'll talk to you next time on TV Confidential.